everybody, and welcome to another Pilates video. Now, there has been some feedback from some of my other videos that you actually haven't been able to see my feet very well. So hopefully this one you're going to be able to see my feet, because we're going to have a little bit more focus on some lower body moves. We'll be doing some taps to the side, we'll be doing some heel and toe raises as well. There'll always be all the other things as well, but we will do a little extra bit with the low body. Alright, so let's make a start. So as you're sitting in your chair, you always want to make sure that you've got a good starting position. So we're not slumping back, we're not leaning into the back of the chair, and if your chair has arms, you've got your arms free of that, you're not leaning that way. Okay, so bring yourself to that good sitting position. The body weight is that little bit forwards. If we go from the bottom all the way up, we want to have our feet hip distance apart if we can. So that's not squeezing the knees together, and that's not letting have the legs turned out. We're trying to start in a parallel, and we'll take the parallel from the hip bones at the front of the pelvis. We could draw a little invisible line from those hip bones through the center of the knee and all the way down to the second toe. So we have those spots all lined up. From the tips of the shoulders, we come up to the tips of, from the tips of the hips, we come up to the tips of the shoulders. So we're not rounding forward and we're not opening back too much either. It's just your natural position. And those points, they're all markers for us. That's trying to help us to get to a neutral. We don't have to force ourselves into a neutral if that's not a comfortable position for your body, but it's just being aware that that's ideally where we'd like to be. Okay, so then we have the head right on top of the spine. So we're not slumping forwards and we're not arching back. That spine naturally has three curves in it. So in the small of your back, there is one curve, and the curve goes the same way through the back of the neck, but it's a much bigger curve. The upper back curves the other way. So you've got that S-like shape, okay? So we don't want to round and lose that curve at the bottom, and we don't want to arch and do too big a curve at the top. It's always a balance, trying to get the balance of those three curves, okay? All right, so now if we are sitting well, we need to support that shape. So it's going to be our abdominals that do that. So let's just think a little bit about our abdominals. We have this sense that we're trying to pull the navel into the spine. Like we were trying to, if we was doing some sewing, it's like you pull the thread through, and the thread attaches to your belly button at the front, and it pulls it to the back of your body, to your spine. We don't kind of shift when we're doing that. It's muscles that are moving, not bones. So the muscles pull in, and that helps to support the spine in the shape of the spine. And then when the spine is supported, then we've got space to think about breathing down into our diaphragm, which just sits at the bottom of our ribs. If we've kind of collapsed and we're not using our core, we've lost this upper body positioning, it's really difficult to breathe into the diaphragm because it's all squished. So we want to feel that we're using our core to open out our spine, to open that shape, so we can breathe into our diaphragm. So if you're able to, you're going to wrap your arms around yourself and give yourself a little hug. I've got my hands on the ribs. It's quite warm here, so I don't have lots of big jumpers on, but if you have got a big jumper on day, it might be quite hard to give yourself that little hug. So you can put your hands this way as well. So those hands are just around the ribs. We're going to think about the breath out, like you're blowing a candle out. You want to exhale as fully and as deeply as you possibly can, and that will help you with your abdominal connection, that abdominal contraction, that exhale. When you inhale, you'll inflate the lungs. You might even feel that you're sitting up that little bit taller, but then don't lose that height as you breathe out. Still try and stay sitting nice and tall, even though you exhale, and you use your exhale to pull in deeper into the belly. And today we're going to use the inhale to help us think about our posture. That doesn't mean we bring our shoulders up. No, we keep the shoulders down, but we're thinking about using the exhale to help us lift and be tall. And then when we exhale, we don't collapse. We just pull the belly in that bit deeper. Now with these breaths, they feel a bit artificial because they're not the deepest breaths that we use when we go about our day, but it can be a really helpful way of helping us to think about our posture and to think about the connection in the center. Now, if the breathing makes you get lightheaded or it makes you confused, don't overthink it. Don't worry too much about it. But just be aware that we would like space for our diaphragm to be able to contract and move, and we would like to have space for our abdominals to work as well and support the spine. Okay, now let's travel down to the feet. All right, so we're going to think about a little bit about those feet today, and we're going to start with some heel raises. The heels will come up and the heels will come down. The heels will come up and the heels will come down. So I'm doing both legs at the same time. I'm trying to sit up nice and tall. And I don't know if I talk much about the head, but that head is right on top of the spine, so we don't need to look down to what our feet are doing. We're going to trust that we've got those heels coming up. And again, those heels coming up. Now let's do the toes. So the heels stay on the floor and we're going to lift the toes up. They might not go very far, but we're just going to see what we can do, making it lighter through those toes and trying to lift them up. Both legs at the same time. Let's see if we can do 4. We'll do 3. Very nice. We'll do 2. And we'll do 1. Then we're going to do 1 of each. So we've got a heel raise and we've got a toe raise. Lovely. We've got a heel raise and we've got a toe raise. And we'll do that again. 1 heel raise, 1 toe raise, 1 heel raise and 1 toe raise. Let's go a bit faster. Heel raise and a toe raise and a heel raise and a toe raise. We have got 4 to go. Toe raise, heel raise, toe raise, 2 more. Heel raise, toe raise, 1 more time. Heel raise and toe raise and rest. Okay, so that was them both at the same time. Now we're going to do 1 at a time. Okay, so 1 heel up, the other heel up, and then 1 toe up, and then the other toe up. So it's like 4 moves. It's heel on one side, it's heel on the other side, it's toe on one side, and it's toe on the other side. And then that 1 more time at this tempo, then we are going to try and speed it up. So we're going to go heel and a toe and a toe, and again a heel and a toe and a toe, and 1 more time a heel and a toe and a toe, and then we will pause. Okay, now we're going to change the rhythm. So instead of it being that heel and that foot doesn't do anything, that foot's going to do the toe. So this foot's heel and that foot's toe, and then I'm going to swap, and then a swap, and then a swap. So 1 foot does the heel and 1 foot lifts the toe, 1 foot does the heel and 1 foot lifts the toe. Now I'm not hovering my feet off the ground. That might come another week, but that's not today. But we're just trying to alternate. Excellent. And then we're going to see if we can go a little quicker for 8. Can we swap and swap and swap and swap and swap and swap, and 2 more, 1 more, and done. Okay, let's have a little breather from the legs, and let's go back up to the top and think a bit about our spine. So now I'm thinking from the pelvis all the way up. 3 sections in the spine: the lumbar spine, the low back, the thoracic spine, that mid back, and the cervical spine, the neck area. We're going to do a little roll down from where we are to try and mobilize all those areas, and they're all going to be flexing. Now you might want to step your feet a bit wider when you do this roll down. You might be comfortable in parallel, and you don't have to come a long way forward if you don't want to. I'm going to go side on so it's a little easier to see. To start a roll down, we need good posture. So think about that. Inhale to help you sit tall, and the exhale to help you connect with your abdominals. Let's now take the chin towards the chest. So that's my cervical, my neck spine. Then I'm going to curve and look in towards my belly. So that's that thoracic spine. Then I'm going to hang a little further forward, reaching my hands down to my ankles, and that gives me a stretch through that lumbar spine. So then let's come back with the lumbar spine, round back up with the thoracic spine, and bring the head up for that cervical spine. So those are our 3 areas. We'll go again. So the head, that's the cervical spine. Then look into the belly, and that's the thoracic spine. Then we reach forward from there to get that stretch through the lumbar spine. We come back with the lumbar spine. We roll through the thoracic spine, and the head is up last. We'll go twice more. So upper body, head, Middle of the back, look into your belly. Lower back, reach further. Come back with the low back. Come back with the mid back and let that head flow up. Let's go again. Head in, chin to chest. Round, look into your belly. Reach forward through those arms. Come back up with the low back. Come back up through the mid back and let that head flow up. Good. All right, so that's that's spinal flexion. Now we're going to do some rotation. And we've done this before. If you have an arm on your chair, you can use the arms of the chair. Otherwise, you're going to have one hand maybe holding on the back of the chair and one hand holding across on your leg. Now notice that your feet, you've still got even pressure through the feet and even pressure through the hip. So when I twist, I'm not leaning and I'm not lifting this hip up, that hip is still down. So it's my spine that's moving and the breath is really going to help. So let's inhale and grow the spine a bit more and exhale, twist the spine a bit more. You can let the gaze lead the movement, look behind you. Inhale, sit a bit taller and exhale, twist a bit further. Let's go again. Inhale, sit a bit taller. Exhale, twist a bit further. And then gently we'll undo that. And we'll do that on the other side. So other hand comes across. Other hand is behind you on the chair. You're going to breathe in to get your spine tall. And then breathe out. Here we go into our twist. Inhale to be a bit taller. And exhale to twist a bit further. We'll go again. Inhale to be a bit taller. Exhale to twist a bit further. Let's do one more time. Inhale to be taller. Exhale to twist further. And then undo that twist and come back to the start. So that's rotation. Now we're going to do some side bending, some lateral flexion through the body. So I'm going to have one hand. This hand is going to reach down to the floor. And I'm going to put this hand on my waist. But you could have it behind your head and you could have it across your shoulder. I'm going to have it here. It's almost like I'm a little teapot. Now, like we have with our rotation, I'm not going to lift a hip up. I'm just going to let my spine move, like I was drawing a rainbow with my head. So breathe in and grow your spine. And breathe out, reach down, pulling your belly in, try and stretch down to the side. Inhale, we're going to come all the way up. We're going to go the same way again. You're going to reach down. Now when I do this movement, so I can side bend, I want to imagine that I'm moving between two panes of glass, or I was like in a sandwich, a person sandwich, and I don't want to touch the bread on either side. In fact, one of the instructors the other day was talking about being like in a toaster, and the toaster's on, and you don't want to touch the front or the back of the toaster because you don't want to get burned. And then you're a side bending bit of bread, so the image kind of gets a bit weird. One more, over we go. And then we'll come up. All right, let's try that on the other side. So the other hand can be on your hip, the other hand's down by your side. We're going to breathe in to grow that spine up nice and tall. And as you breathe out, you're going to stretch yourself over. And then we're coming all the way back. We'll go again. Stretch yourself over. And come all the way back. And again, reaching down towards the floor, bending your side. You can still feel both sides of your pelvis on the chair. There's your last one. And then we'll pause. So the spine has 4 movements. We've done our flexion, we've done our rotation, we've done our side bending, and then we need to do some extension. And sometimes with extension, it can help with the arms as well. That can help you. So we're going to do a little arm lift. I want you to imagine that there is a beam of light in your breastbone, like you had a headlight or a torchlight there. And you're going to point that beam of light, instead of straight ahead on the wall in front of you, up to the top corner and then down. So like I said, sometimes the arms can help and the breath will help. So we're going to inhale, come up to the top corner with your beam of light and then lower that down. And again, point that beam of light up to that top corner and then release that down. And again, bring that beam of light to that top corner and then we'll come down. One more time, that beam of light comes up to that top corner and then it comes down. Good. So that's been a little spinal interlude. We are now going to go back to those lovely feet and get them working again. So we've gone kind of forward and back. Now we're going to go and do some turning out. So we're actually going to start with our legs closer together if that's comfortable for you. So I'm going to pivot. I'm going to keep my heels down, open out my toes and my knees will open, close back to center and my knees will kiss. So it's like there's little magnets on those knees that are pulling the knees together. But the movement's actually starting right on up in at the hip. And the feet are just following the movement that is set up in this joint. So the feet are doing what's happening right up here. Now, if it's not comfortable, it doesn't have to be a massive turnout. It's just that little opening. We are going to go again, opening and closing. Now, this time we're going to do zigzag feet. We've done this before. We're going to open out and then leave your toes on the floor. Lift your heels and swivel the legs the other way. So now my knees have come together. Then I'm going to leave my heels on the floor and turn my knees out. Then I'm going to get my toes on the floor and turn out further. Don't worry if you couldn't get that far. Now we're going to come in. I'm going to leave my toes on the floor and bring my heels in. Leave my heels on the floor and bring my toes in. Leave my toes on the floor and bring my heels in. Leave my heels on the floor and bring my toes in, and I'm back to the start. We're going to do that again. And now just notice, as you're really concentrating on this, don't collapse. Still that lovely tall spine and that good connection into your center, okay? So let's start by opening out the toes. Here we go, opening out the toes. Leave the toes where they are, open out the heels. Leave the heels where they are, open out the toes. Leave the toes where they are, open out the heels. Good, then we're gonna come in. Leave the toes where they are, move your heels. Leave the heels where they are, move your toes. Leave the toes where they are to move your heels. Leave the heels where they are, toes back, and we're in that nice connected shape again with those legs. We're gonna go one more time. Here we go, out with those toes. Leave the toes where they are, move those heels. Leave the heels where they are, move those toes. Leave the toes where they are to move those heels, then we're coming in. Leave the toes where they are and get your heels down. Move through the toes, leave the heels where they are. Lift the heels in, bring the toes in and pause. Good. Okay, so there's been a lot going on. We've had heels raises, we've had some turning out things. We're now going to try and do some lifting. Okay, now we're actually going to turn out like we've already done, but this time I'm going to lift my leg together. If that doesn't suit you, you can just do a little heel on the floor and turn out like we did before, but we're going to try and use our abdominals to actually move the leg to turn it out. Only one at a time, and we're going to start with this leg. This is actually called opening the gate and closing the gate, and I think we've done that in another video, maybe the running one. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Opening out and closing in. Let's do that leg again. Opening out and closing in. Good. And that leg again. We're going to open out. We're going to close in. We're going one more on that side. Opening out and closing in. Okay, now we're going to do this side. We're going to open out and we're going to close in. And again, we're going to open out and we're going to close in. Lovely. We've got two to go. We're going to open out and we're going to close in. And we've got one more time. We're going to open out and we're going to close in. Now we're going to open that way, close this way, close this way. Open, open, close, close. Okay, we're going to lead with this leg and then we're going to do some of you lead with this leg. All right, inhale, get your spine tall. Exhale, pull your belly in. Here we go, opening out, other leg, opening out. Good. First leg comes in, second leg comes in. We're going two more times like this, opening and closing. And closing. One more like this. We're going to open and open. We're going to close and close. Now we're going to lead with this leg. We're going to open and open. We're going to close and close. Two more. We're going to open and open. We're going to close and close. And one more time. We're going to open. We're going to open. Good strong tummy. Close and close. Good. Hard-working legs. Let's take our attention away and come back up to here and do a little bit of mobilizing for the upper body. We did the spine, but we need to now do fingers, wrists, elbows, shoulders. We need to do all of this stuff. So let's start with the shoulders. Let's roll them all the way around and back and down. Nice big circles around. Really trying to get as much movement as you can through those joints. We'll go one more going backwards. And now sometimes this area can be clicky. Now we're coming forwards. There can be some little clicks and some little niggles. Don't go anywhere that hurts. Sometimes those clicks are just the ligaments, the tendons moving over each other. It's not that you're doing a massive bone adjustment. It's just that deep movement in at the joint with those little things flicking over each other. Okay, those are the shoulders. Let's come up and down. We're going up. We're coming up. Good. Going up. We're going up. So those alternating lefts. We'll do 4 more. We'll do 3 more. We'll do 2 more. And we'll do 1 more. Let's do both together just for 4. Up and down for 4. Up and down for 3. Up and down for 2. Up and down and 1. And they should hopefully want to stay down because they're a bit tired. Let's come all the way down and think about elbow joints. Now the elbow doesn't have a lot of movement because it's just a hinge. But we are just going to do a little bit of mirroring of the movement we did with our legs, okay? So I'm going to open out and come on in. Other arm, I'm going to open out and come on in. And again, I'm going to open out and come on in and open out. And then we're going to do both arms. We're going to open them both out and bring them both in. So I'm trying not to move a lot through my shoulder. I'm trying to think more about getting that elbow joint to move. Just 1 more. And then that's enough there. Okay, give that a wiggle. And then that should just mean that we naturally end up with those wrists. Let's do wrists first, circling them round. Now this is a time not to move your elbows and not to move your shoulders. So maybe pull them in nice and tight into your body so you're not tempted to move them as we circle around. Let's go in the other direction. Let's circle that back around, circle it back around, circle it back around, circle it back around. And let's just do 1 more of those. And then end up focusing on our fingers. So giving them a little wave through, like you were playing the piano in the air. So I'm just kind of almost rolling or drumming through, starting at my little finger, rolling through to my thumb, and then I'm not so good the other way around, going from my thumb through to my 5th finger. Good. And then let's squeeze them in and splat them wide and squeeze them in like you're making like a little duck. And then we're going to squeeze in and splat them wide 1 more time. Then we're going to make that a little ball. So squeeze them into a ball and then splat them wide. Squeeze them into a ball and splat them wide. We've got 3 like that. Good. We've got 2. And let's go 1 more time. And then let's rest. Okay. Been a lot going on. We've done legs. We've done spine. We've done more legs. We've done upper body. So everything should be moving really well and you should feel pretty good, pretty pleased with yourself. Well, thanks for joining me again. I hope you've enjoyed it and you've got in some extra little foot things today. Hopefully you can hear me quite well as well this week. Thanks for joining me and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.